Hello, welcome to what is the first of our Sunday Night RPGs Mandalorian kind of review discussion shows. Don't know who we're all going to have on during all of them, but you'll definitely have me, Seriann 1987, and probably the Beards. We're just going to kind of talk about the episode as episodes as they come out, and yeah. So, the first bit will be spoiler-free. The Mythosaur up in the corner will be gone when the spoilers come out. So, don't know what time frame that'll be, and this will probably just be going up fairly raw. So, yeah, as long as the Mythosaur's there, we're not talking spoilers. So, with that, Chapter 9, The Marshal. Beardsly, what'd you think?
Oh my goodness, I was so impressed with this episode. My inner child kind of came out and like, yes, this is Star Wars. Forget all those movies.
Same here. The Western motif was back, which it wasn't. It felt more like an episode of like a Western TV show.
Very much so. I love the Western motif of it. Yeah,
I was getting, honestly, some vibe of The Witcher episode 6, the one where they hunt the dragon.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
A little bit of that, not so much, but no, that was it. Parts of it when they were hunting the Krayt dragon definitely felt more Witcher than Star Wars, but I'm totally fine with that because you know what? It's still a fantasy property, and they kept the science fantasy. Mm-hmm. So, I'm going to be honest, I was a little worried with the new season for a show that I absolutely loved for the first season. I was just afraid that they couldn't keep it going.
Oh, right, yeah, because you're always afraid of that when second season hits, and you're like, are they going to keep the same magic, the same formula that made it work, or are they going to do stuff that's going to change it to where they... Yeah, because you never know, because if they stick to just the same formula, it's not going to work. They have to keep it, but also do more with it, which I think they did.
Yeah, and I think it definitely helps that, okay, you've got Dave Filoni, who's been, if I'm not mistaken, responsible for every Star Wars TV show that's come out.
I believe so. He's like the main TV executive.
I do know the first season of Mandalorian was his first foray into live action. But you've got Filoni, and you've got what's his name? Why am I blanking on his name?
Jon Favreau?
Jon Favreau, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Why did I blank on his name? Anyway, Jon Favreau's, I think, a pretty safe bet for Disney as well.
Yeah, I mean, he started the MCU basically almost, single-handedly, right? With Iron Man, he's the one that's behind that.
He started the MCU as an afterthought. Yeah, come on.
Yeah. I mean, still, he's the guy.
Right. He's like,
let's do this as a joke, but we're kind of serious, but we're not serious, but we kind of are.
Right. And I think the main reason that the MCU launched was just, I think Jon Favreau understands the people he's making his movies for.
Yeah,
definitely. The Lion King was a shot-for-shot remake. I don't know.
Hey, people loved it, I guess. I haven't seen it, actually.
I haven't seen it either, I'm going to be honest. But I've heard grumbles that it was a shot-for-shot remake.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can see that being Jon Favreau, it's like, this is what people wanted. Mm-hmm. Why change?
Yeah, yeah.
So, anyway, no, I do think this episode wandered into a little bit of it's too small of a universe, which we'll talk about during the spoiler section, but yeah, there's times where it's like, okay,
it's too small of a universe when 9 movies revolve around one family, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not just the movies revolve around it. Pivotal galactic events for 3 generations revolve around this one family. I'm not a huge fan of the great man theory of history for just that reason.
Mm.
So, anyway, no, very good episode. Love the Western motifs.
I love that they kept it, like they said, chapter 9. So it's like a continuing story, like, because, sometimes you have, like, okay, we're just going to do season 1, episode 1, or season 2, episode 1. No, this is season 2, chapter 9.
Yeah, I don't know. I could have seen it as, okay, it's a new, it's a new story, so another chapter 1. But I agree with you. I like the fact that they're continuing with the chapters. I thought the length was really good.
Oh yeah,
and from what I've heard,
the longest episode so far being at 54 minutes.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, all of the episodes of season 2 are going to be about this length.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't mind the 30-minute episodes because they were self-contained, they're succinct. I understand like people wanted more, but at the same time they were good little just episodes to have, and I wasn't unimpressed with those. I think those are actually some of the better episodes than the longer ones.
Yeah,
but I also enjoy 54 more minutes of Star Wars.
I think they did a great job with the first season, and I'm hoping they continue with this season. Of the episodes are as long as they need to be.
Mm-hmm.
They aren't drawn out; they're just as long as they need to be. And that was, going back to the directors and everything. It sounds like they've got pretty much the same group of people behind the scenes too. So.
Now, I noticed. Yeah, Jon Favreau directed this one. I don't think he didn't direct any of the first 8 episodes, right?
I believe he directed the first one of season 1 as well.
Did he direct? Okay. I couldn't remember. I just know that he only had there's only 4 directors.
Yeah.
For season 1.
And I know Bryce Dallas Howard only directed one of them.
Oh, okay. I thought she did 2, but okay.
As far as I'm aware, she only directed 1.
Yeah, the Magnificent 7 episode, which is my favorite episode, I think, of the.
I loved how they did the ATST in that episode. Like that was the first time I really felt
like those things are terrible and.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she only directed the 1 episode.
Okay.
Moving on. That's the advantage of having the computer out, is you can just Google stuff as you go. Right. And this is just very, very raw. Like, this is us just talking about it after the fact. So.
Hey, if we want a friend who wants to help produce that and keep us on track, we'll tie you in. Just let us know.
Yep. So, anyway, I'm hoping this is good signs for the future of this series.
Mm-hmm. And good signs for even for Star Wars, because I know there's a lot of, especially the last 2 movies to come out, have been very divisive within the community. But watching, I think, Mandalorian, everyone's like, this everyone can get behind.
Yeah.
Which I think is something to say with, like, especially with, even when you look at Rogue One, less lightsabers equals better Star Wars, apparently.
Which is, like, that's been the case for a lot of stuff. I know. Like Star Wars Galaxies, initially you could not become a Jedi, and then they eventually let anyone become a Jedi after a few quests, and it just kind of ruined the balance of the game. Like, being a Jedi is cool, but I much prefer the guy who's just got a few skills and a blaster at his side, and that's it. It's no mystery why a space wizard is awesome. But having a guy... oh, what's the quote from Grim Noir? It's Harry Houdini. It's one of the chapter headers, but it's...
I don't remember.
If you put a fade in a box, it's no wonder when the fade escapes. But if you tell people that a real human will risk real death by putting himself in a box, crowds will still show up. Because in that universe, real magic exists, and somehow Harry Houdini was still a magician.
Hey, me and Harry, we got 2 things in common.
So yeah, if you put a space wizard in a thing, it's no wonder when he succeeds. But if you put a regular human in a situation, then people will still show up, and it's still entertaining. So, Anyway, I think that's all I have for the non-spoiler stuff. Do you have anything else to add?
No, yeah, not really for non-spoiler stuff without getting into too much details. I mean, there's a lot of callbacks, which we'll get into, just either from season 1 or from the franchise itself. There's a lot of stuff that we'll be getting into that'll, I think everyone will enjoy. I mean, yeah, it's a good episode. Picks up, I guess, shortly right after the end of the season 1. So you're not really missing too much in terms of time lapse.
Yeah, if there can, I always, since they were continuing it as a story, I figured, or let me rephrase that. Since this came out as Chapter 9, I anticipated not that much of a time jump. If they had started over at Chapter 1 again, I'd be anticipating some sort of time jump. But no, I'm glad they're going with a smaller time jump too. So, get the most out of those props.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the spoiler section.
Spoilers!
The Mythosaur is gone. It's time for spoilers.
So if you don't want it, you still want to watch the episode, stop now.
Yes, go watch it. It is a wonderful
Go watch it.
55 minutes of TV.
Come back, pick us back up, and we'll enjoy each other's company at that point.
So, let me pull my notes up here, but yeah. So the first kind of section we had was we're going to kind of go section by section. So the first kind of section we had was them, Mando and Baby Yoda, which those are the names. I'm not calling him Din Djarin and the child. So Mando and Baby Yoda are going into the city. Do you know, they didn't tell us what planet it was, nothing like that. It was just...
No, they didn't say anything. I don't even know. Maybe the creatures with the red eyes are supposed to be a hint towards something, but I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think it's literally just this is a CD place that could be anywhere in the galaxy.
Anywhere, yeah.
Which I do think lends a little bit to there's only 5 planets in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because they didn't name it. So it's dark. There's animals in the night. Apparently they're afraid of the light. You don't get any good looks at them. You just see red eyes glowing, which I'm sure saved budget because you literally just have 2 things with 2 red LEDs. I love the anti-imperial graffiti. You know, like the caricature stormtroopers crossed out, stuff like that. Going into the fight. Not much to say there. Just I loved the set dressing.
I mean, that's one thing that Mandalorian does right is the sets and just the little nuances like those little, graffiti marks and stuff like that they're always top notch and kind of just set the tone or even just the look and feel of the universe. Yeah.
Then you move on to the fight they had with the Gamorreans. I gotta say, I love the fact that they actually have vibro axes vibrating.
Yeah. So it's an interesting fight, and I'm not sure if they're supposed to be like it's like a callback or just like a hey look to the old 90s video game The Masters of Terraskasi or whatever, or if it's like what that's supposed to be, or it's just an underground fight ring. You know?
I think it's just an underground fight ring. I didn't notice they had shields protecting the gladiators. So personal shields are back apparently.
But they apparently only protect you against melee weapons.
Yeah. So, who knows? That fight was, it was nice background.
2 Gamorreans. Yeah, it's 2 Gamorreans. It's not like you're getting a lot of, martial arts action out of 2 giant pigs.
2 giant pigs swinging axes.
Yeah.
Moving on to, meet the contact. I didn't recognize the species.
I did. I couldn't put a name for it, but he looked familiar from one of the video games. And I think like one of the old Knights of the Republic games or something, he may have popped up. That species may have popped up before. He just seemed vaguely familiar, but I'm not sure if any of it was actually... I probably could have looked that up, but I didn't. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it's just because he's cycloptic, so maybe it's just
Abyssin
fantasy.
is the species. Thank you, Wikipedia. They were first seen in. Their homeworld is on Biss. Oh, they were in New Hope. There's the Cyclops aliens.
Okay.
I forgot them from the cantina scene.
Got it right. So yeah, like I said, he looked familiar, but I couldn't place it. So it could have been anything really. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that it was Star Wars that's more familiar with.
Yep.
But and then I mean, John Leguizamo in that character was fantastic. I didn't recognize him at first. I'm like the whole voice. His voice is like, man, I know who this is. Why can't I? And it wasn't until the end credits when his name pops up. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe I didn't realize it was John Leguizamo
right.
playing like a mafia type,
Playing a mafia type like he usually does.
Yeah.
So, no, that was. They continue the tradition of Star Wars putting big name actors behind a mask for bit parts. But no, and then okay, he shoots the Gamorrean and then turns his blaster on the Mando, blaming him for it. Bunch of people get their guns out. And then he opens up the whistling birds, which I thought he used them all.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, because I felt like after he got them initially from the Mandalorian armor, he used them all, but then he used them again later on in season 1. After that,
right?
So maybe he just keeps on replenishing them somehow.
But when they were made, there was like, oh, these are rare, and
yeah, maybe before with everything, the Mandalorian armor gave him a whole bunch, and they're in his ship somewhere. I don't know. Maybe they're not as powerful as the Beskar tipped ones or whatever. Or,
maybe. But no, I love the fact that Baby Yoda recognized what was going to happen.
The scene, it's like the scene that we saw in the trailer. It's
right.
It's like that initially. And most of that this first section is what we saw in the trailer.
But again,
it's mostly all there. Like it's not stuff that we didn't see.
Right, but here's a question for you. Baby Yoda's around all this violence. Is it slowly bringing him closer to the dark side? Because they've already done. He choked Cara Dune in the first season,
and that was because the kid didn't understand what was going on. She thought, because I'm assuming she was winning the arm wrestling match.
She was,
and beating Mando, and so he's protecting Mando. Mando's his like surrogate dad. So like it's just
he's helping Daddy. But
yeah.
No, and I do think.
So I think that there'll be maybe later on in his life, if however long he lives or wherever they go with this, there might be some weird PTSD type stuff that might pop up where he could lead him towards that. Maybe. I mean, that's probably 100 and some years down the road in terms of the timeline.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 50 some and he's still
the
equivalent of a 2-year-old, maybe.
It does kind of reinforce the dark side is the easy path.
Yeah.
So, no, but just Baby Yoda's getting used to the violence. I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, and I kept on, throughout Mandalorian season 1 and leading up to season 2, there's a lot of memes going around of the Baby Yoda in Mandalorian armor.
I know.
And I didn't pick it up until I did my rewatch leading up for season 2, that the armor says he's too weak, physically speaking. His species is too weak to actually endure the training of Mandalorian training, so he can't. That's why he has to return him instead of training him like he would a normal foundling. It's because it's impossible for that species to do so, apparently. So,
who knows? No, moving on to the. Okay, catch the informant.
Yeah.
Leave him hanging.
And I love the just don't kill me. He's like, I promise I won't kill you by my hand.
Right.
You're like, soon as you hear that by my hand, you're like, oh, that guy's still gonna die. I don't know how, but he's gonna die.
Right. You don't betray Mando and survive.
Yeah.
Unless you have the Darksaber, but. No, moving on to Tatooine, which again comes back to it's too small of a universe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Although they did something different with this one that I really appreciated. You know, it's not the Tatooine that we know. They introduce an entire new city besides the first two.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think technically, I mean, I guess I don't know what the Tashi station is, or if that's supposed to be in Mos Eisley or whatever, but I've always felt like Tashi was
I think it's an outpost or something.
An outpost or a separate city. So, I mean, there was a couple that we kind of know, but not really. I mean, it's usually Mos Eisley or
Mos Espa, and that's it. So, and, well, the way I forgot the character's name, but the way the gal at the spaceport was talking, it sounds like it was literally those three cities, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Probably a lot of outposts and homesteaders, but those three cities, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a desert planet. I wouldn't expect there to be too much.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, in terms of cities and stuff. But I mean, it feels like it should be a larger planet. Maybe not. Maybe it's a very small planet. But...
I'm trying to remember what they've said, like, the population is. It's got to be only a few thousand.
I mean, yeah, I guess maybe it's not like as large as a dune planet, maybe.
Right. But no, when he's flying to Tatooine, that music sounded so familiar.
Mm-hmm.
I tried searching it. It being Star Wars, I expected it to be a leitmotif to something.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the Mando theme. It's not the Tatooine theme. I didn't look at it, but maybe the child's theme, but
maybe okay.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, all of it, especially the newer stuff, is all very reminiscent of John Williams stuff, and I don't think he's attached to the Mandalorian at all. In terms of the music, I don't remember seeing his name.
I'd imagine. I mean, they started the leitmotif way back in the first movies, and I've appreciated the fact that they've kept that going.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it makes it so recognizable.
Yeah.
And you know, it lets you do variations on the theme and stuff like that. So anyway, of course, he parked at the same place.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you gotta get callbacks and bring in people that we already know on Tatooine. Yeah.
And see that I don't mind so much because it was already he was here. This is within the Mandalorian. I don't mind the callback so much. You know, pit droids are probably everywhere. Pit droids were being pit droids, making a mess.
Yeah.
But then, okay, she calls out R5, and it's the R5 from the Lars Ranch.
Mean, I wasn't expecting to see the R5 from the Lars Ranch. And I mean, for us, it's been, 40 years, but really in Star Wars, it's only been 10, well, no, so it's 8 years after.
Yeah.
So like maybe about 8 years after that, approximately. Yeah. So it would make sense that R5 would show up somewhere, maybe.
And I suppose this is Mos Eisley.
Yeah.
But, anyway.
I mean, small universe, but always fun for like the cat, the observer to go, oh, that's from, okay.
Yeah. And then, of course, okay, this is Mos Pelgo. It's somewhere around here. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Which I haven't read the Aftermath books, but I did some quick read up on the stuff, and apparently they changed the name to Freedom Town. So, but no, you go out to Mos Pelgo, and it is literally like a western town. There is one street, there's a few houses on the street, and that's it.
Yeah, businesses, a cantina or bar, or
and people are just sitting out on the porch, just watching the new person walk into town. That felt so spaghetti western to me.
Yeah. Which is, I think, definitely the draw for The Mandalorian is because it does have, especially in season 1, you had those episodes that were very based off of Western motifs, and this one's definitely based off of a Western motif in terms of the storyline structure.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate the fact that they've kept up the moving on to a slightly different topic. They've kept up the Star Wars using real world weapons and just modifying them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Mando's blaster is a Bergman Model 1, which I know there were some those are rare enough as it is. And I was hearing some rumblings that the gun collectors were afraid people were going to start collecting them to modify them into Mandalorian blasters instead of keeping them what they are.
Yeah.
Which the Bergman was one of the first semi-automatic pistols.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Back in the 1800s, like before World War One, before even maybe same time frame as the broom handle, the Mauser C96.
Okay. Yep.
So that time frame of pistols where it's like, yeah, it's really old and we're still figuring it out. But anyway, no, they continue. You know, Mos Pelgo, Cobb Vanth shows up, which I had subtitles on, so I saw the character name.
You saw the name pop up as soon as you say, "Yeah, me too." I had him on, and I was like, I mean, as soon as you see him pop up, he's wearing Mandalorian armor because that's why Mando's there. He's looking for a Mandalorian. And you see him there, and it's obviously like as soon as you see it, you're like Boba Fett.
Yeah. Except the stance was wrong.
His stance was wrong, and he's too gangly. Like you could definitely tell the armor doesn't fit like it did on Boba Fett.
Right.
And then I had the subtitles on, so then I immediately saw as soon as we started speaking, his name was Cobb Vanth. But I mean, it's also not Boba Fett's voice because we've gone.
Right.
Lucas went back and had Temuera Morrison even redo the line, so we've recognized Boba Fett's voice almost immediately.
Played by Timothy Olyphant, which...
Oh, gosh, yes, Timothy Olyphant. Like, there are actors like, you're like, oh, I want this actor in Star Wars. Like, I want Karl Urban desperately in Star Wars. I never thought about adding Timothy Olyphant into Star Wars, but I'm so glad somebody else did, or like he just auditioned for the part and got it, because he's like one of my new favorite characters now in Star Wars, is Cobb Vanth.
Which, hopefully, he's not just a one-episode appearance.
I mean, so later on, they say, I hope our paths cross again.
Which kind of brings back memories of season 1 when Mando goes around meeting people and then bringing those people together.
So, if anything, I'm fairly certain, like, and I hope that, like, Cara Dune will show up and then Cobb Vanth will show up and they'll have, like, some weird interaction, too.
Yeah. But I love the fact that, it was Cobb Vanth, which I haven't read them again, but the Aftermath book series, in the first one, Cobb Vanth is a side character. It's an interlude story about him getting the armor and basically freeing Mos Pelgo from the crime syndicate. So
got it. Okay. Which I never knew anything about that. I haven't read since Disney axed the EU canon. I haven't read anything that's canon for Star Wars books. So I mean that if I had been like my nerdy self way back 8 years ago, I'm probably sure I would have been like, oh, that's awesome. But since I didn't know who he was, it's still cool because it's Timothy Olyphant.
Yep.
But I like that you can pull literary characters like that and put them in this, and you don't necessarily have to, like they set it up so you don't necessarily have to know or have read that.
Right.
They still explain it just briefly in the 2-minute scene that they give.
And that's
his whole story.
Yeah, his whole story, and you get an idea for the character as immediately, like from that small story, you get an idea of who this character is. So walking in, he orders a drink, and you notice Mando just kind of stiffens and stands there. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay.
I was thinking, like, is this really a Mandalorian? Are we actually going to see how they drink with the helmet on? That was my thought the entire time as they're walking towards the table. I'm like, are we gonna be that detailed and see how this happens? Do they get straws that come out of the helmet? And I was so excited. And then Cobb Vanth takes the helmet off, and I love that reaction. Just it's very minute, very very small, but you just see Mando it kind of relaxed as he was walking forward to go sit down, but then stiffens and steps back.
Yep.
Just that half step, and he's like, oh yeah, that's definitely not a Mandalorian.
Yes. And then, they're just ready to shoot each other.
Yeah.
Such a Western moment.
Yeah.
I was expecting to hear the no.
Yeah. See a little dust bunny thing go just rolling across. Everyone runs out of the cantina.
Yep. The child, Baby Yoda got out of his thing and was exploring again.
Yeah. And right there at the spittoon thing, you're like, oh no, he's gonna either dump that on himself. He's gonna get all I had a flashback of uh, uh, Back to the Future 3 where
See, I had a flashback to West of Loathing.
Oh, okay.
In that
like,
game, you can search in the spittoons and just get disgusting stuff every time.
Oh, gross. I was like, something's going to happen. We're going to see this huge mucus just being poured on somebody or something.
Yep. And then, of course, the Krayt Dragon shows up.
Yeah. Which, so, I mean, I don't think there's... You see the Krayt Dragon in Knights of the Old Republic. Like, you fight them in there. But I don't think there's been an actual visible Krayt Dragon in any other media.
I don't think there has.
So it's cool, but I didn't know that's what that was until later on in dialogue he said that it was a Krayt Dragon.
Well, see, I was watching it. I'm like, it did a little bit of a cry, and I'm like, that sounds like the cry Obi-Wan did.
Yeah, and so it sounded familiar. I was like, but I'm looking at it because the way it attacked, I'm like, do we just bring Tremors and Craboids into Star Wars? Like, is this is this a sandworm from Dune? Like, what's going on with my Star? Like, then I started to freak out. Like, oh no, they messed Star Wars up just a little bit, and then I was like, oh, I don't think I've ever pictured. Cause I always pictured Krayt Dragons just roaming around like a real dragon.
Yeah, me too. But
walking around, kind of like more like a Komodo dragon type thing, just a very large one. But no, this thing crawls, it's more like a worm that crawls through the ground, which makes sense. And seeing it in action was that was awesome. It was just leaps out, eats a whole bantha hole. I mean,
yeah, no, I like the way they did it. They did a good job of, at least at the beginning, keeping it mysterious, and you don't see more than teeth and this giant mouth.
Yeah.
At first, I thought it was one of the slugs from like the asteroid.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like, oh, we get to see it in a different environment now. But no, I'm totally fine with this portrayal of a Krayt Dragon. I think and it's different than what you saw in Knights of the Old Republic. But at the same time, Knights of the Old Republic is how many years before this? They can can adjust.
Yeah, I mean, you're 4,000 years before.
And I think we've all just kind of... I haven't heard anywhere specifically that, oh yeah, they've been extinct. I think we've all just assumed they were extinct.
Well, I don't think so, because, I mean, in episode 4, Obi-Wan gives that sound.
True.
So if they were extinct, then there's no reason the Tusken Raiders would just leave.
I must have been the only one thinking they were extinct then. But
so I think maybe they were, like, endangered, maybe, or close to being extinct.
Maybe.
Just enough to be dangerous because you don't know what they are.
Right. And then, of course, we've probably never spent a whole lot of time on the Dune Sea, so...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, most of our time on Tatooine is either in Mos Eisley or something similar, or a moisture farm, right?
Yep.
So it's not like we've done a lot... Even in the video games and other books, you don't spend a lot of time on this desert planet because it's got 2 suns and it's boring and sand gets everywhere and everybody hates it.
And then, of course, they take a trip to go hunt down the dragon. And I swear to you, Cobb's...
With Speeder, yeah, I agree, yeah.
Is Anakin's engine.
Yeah, it looks like Anakin's... I'm like, okay, so I was doing the math. I was doing the mental math. Anakin's engine, you're looking at, is... Between episode 1 and episode 3, you're looking at almost 20 years. Or
right.
No, 15 years. And then you have from episode 3 to episode 4, you have 20 years. And then from episode 4 to there is about 8 to 10 years. So you're looking at... It's like a 40-year-old piece of technology that's been repurposed. I was like, I guess because Star Wars is kind of like technology kind of doesn't move forward. They're at a point where they're kind of plateaued.
It's been plateaued since the Knights of the Old Republic era. Let's be honest.
Yeah. So not much changes in terms of their technology. So yeah, I guess I could see it probably lasts that long. Sure. And I'm sure that's what it's supposed to be as well. It's like a repurposed engine of his pod racer. It's been dismantled, or designed to at least look like that to give us that thought.
And it was, we'll be honest, it's probably just they had the prop lying around, so let's use it.
Yeah.
So,
maybe. I mean, how old is that prop now?
I don't know.
That was made in 99, so we're looking at maybe 97 to 99 was filmed, so holding it on for 20 years almost. Yeah, over. Maybe.
Weird
maybe it was
things
still
have
around.
happened.
Lucas is like, hey, I got this in my backyard. Do you want to use it?
I wouldn't be surprised if he's got like a warehouse full of old Star Wars.
Oh yeah, I'm
props.
sure he does. I mean, it's called Skywalker Ranch.
But no, so going, then we get the flashback,
Mhm.
which again, like I said, similar story to the events in Aftermath. There are some changes, but
Mhm.
I think it falls onto Mando doesn't go into a whole lot of detail. So,
And I'm gonna be honest, watching it because I know Timothy Oliphant's acting a little bit sometimes from different things. I was very suspicious of his character for the first half of him being there. I'm like, how much of this story is accurate? And I think it might be because also you had the wannabe guild hunter who betrayed Mando, and you know that something was going to happen because he was a young guy and upstart.
yeah,
I'm thinking this is the type of like, how honest is he being with Mando right now about how he got the armor?
and the
How
fact
honest
that
is
he's
he
got
with
to give up the
yeah,
armor.
and that he saved the city and became their marshal. I was like, I was expecting, and maybe it's just because it's been done before. I was expecting like he's the one that set everything up for the mining guild to be there to take over, and like he maybe made a deal to like shoot them up and get them out, but he's still, he's like a puppet marshal or
Right.
whatever. But I mean, no, I'm glad that I was wrong, and that he was a much better character than I was. Yeah, he wasn't. It doesn't seem that he was lying about anything. He was very honest with Mando.
The Camtono returns. The ice cream maker returns.
Mm.
Which they have a working prop from the first season. Let's use it again.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which I like the idea that it makes it much more of a like common thing in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
I just love the fact that this whole thing started from a meme, a guy running with an ice cream maker. Moving on. I do love the like the folksy sayings like, well, occasionally both suns shine on a womp rat's tail.
Yeah. I love colloquialisms like that are in things that make it cemented in that you're in the universe, you're watching the universe. It's not our universe. It's something else.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing. Something simple as frack in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, yeah. Frack,
You know?
or Frel, and Farscape. Like the language in Farscape is
just add a little bit
love
of something
yeah.
to make it. It's not our universe. Kind of cements you in the universe a little more. And then of course there's the meme about authors coming up with unique names for their stories, and the more words the authors come up with, the worse the story is.
Oh no, I've not seen that. That's interesting.
I'll have to see if I can find. I saw it years ago, but no. And then goes buys the Mandalorian armor or Boba Fett's armor, comes back to the city, shoots out the mining guild. Love the use of the missile launcher. Is that the first time we've seen the?
I think the eyepiece to come down. Yeah. That's at least for Boba Fett's armor, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we may have seen something similar in Clone Wars or Rebels where they use that, especially Sabine. I think hers definitely comes down, but seeing it live action, that's the first time.
And I do think that's the first time we've seen the targeting scope too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I do appreciate the fact that they kept everything fuzzy and it looked again like 70s.
Yeah, the technology, like okay, our zooming, enhancing stuff has not improved in 30 years or 50 years, 100 years. It's all been, Star Wars technology, it's plateaued. It's not much new stuff coming out. I mean, maybe new designs for weapons, but it's still the same function. It doesn't change.
Yeah. So then, of course, the blaster is bouncing off the armor. Is that trying to imply that Boba Fett's armor was Beskar?
I'm going to assume so. That his armor is true Mandalorian armor, and therefore implying that Boba Fett at least is either true Mandalorian now, or
because he's. I know him and Jango Fett have bounced back and forth in Canada. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure where that ended up, or what the most recent answer is, but.
Because I don't remember, he wasn't featured too much in Clone Wars. I mean, he was there, but I don't think he had Mandalorian armor.
He didn't have Mandalorian armor
in the Clone Wars. And so did he somehow just still have his dad's armor and just repainted it? Or, so it's definitely modifications and different from Jango's armor.
Yeah. I
Which,
think
mean,
it's a he. I think Boba's armor is Jango's armor. So, I would say you shared something earlier about the Mandalorians have said that Jango Fett was not a Mandalorian.
yeah, that he just stole the armor, which for me, I'm pretty sure that's just a way for them to cover themselves politically, to not have many ramifications, knowing that Jango Fett was the guy behind the design for the clones and everything, which I think was probably more common knowledge among political people than not. It was just a cover up, I think, in my mind. It's just them trying to just say, hey, we want to disassociate ourselves from this guy, and he's no longer a true Mandalorian. So we're just going to say he's never been a Mandalorian in our mind.
Yep.
Once you take the helmet off, you're no longer, so it's like erasing them from history. And so,
potentially.
Yeah.
So, moving on, they meet the Tusken Raiders, which I love the fact that we get Mando actually speaking Tusken.
And so the creatures that pop out, the dog creatures that pop out, I was trying to place, have we seen that before? They looked familiar, but I couldn't place what they were called. And I feel like they may have showed up in like the Knights of the Republic games before or something else, but nothing to that degree.
They were in episode 3.
Okay.
Um,
or even 2 when he goes and raids the village.
Or no, yeah, it was in episode 2. That's the first time we saw them, was episode 2. But I'm trying to remember what they're called. We've seen them before. Massives.
Okay.
Basically, desert dogs. So, yeah, for some reason, when I first saw him, I'm like, is that a Womp Rat? But
I think you see the Womp Rats at the beginning, the very small creatures. When you walk up to the town, I think there was some Womp Rats there that we see just briefly. Or maybe it's even later on when we come across the Tuskens and their village or people. I think we do see Womp Rats at some point in this. But not those giant things that we see, the dog creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. So yeah, we've seen those before. In episode 2, it was established they're like the dogs for the Tuskens.
Yeah.
So, but that brings up a question: has Mando spent time around Tusken Raiders? Like he knows them and he walks up and pets one.
I know. He said when they do the Tatooine episode in season 1, he did say he spent some time with them.
Okay.
And even in this episode, when John Leguizamo characters tells him that the Mandalorian he knows of is on Tatooine, he says, "I spent a lot of time on Tatooine.
Okay.
There's no Mandalorian there." Like he would know it if there was a Mandalorian there because he spent so much time on Tatooine. So I would assume that.
Huh.
That's why he's been able, that's why he knows the language, which we learned, the sign language we learned in first season, and actually now can speak, which is either him actually doing it or he's got a translator on his helmet. One of the two. I don't know.
I don't know either. I do like the fact that they kept the, even while they're speaking, they kept the hand motions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But no, I do like the fact that we're getting Tatooine a little more from the Tusken Raider perspective, with like, okay, humans are the trespassers here. This is our land.
And getting more of their culture just a little bit, even with like when they're around the fire and they break open this pod bean thing, whatever, which is some sort of liquid inside of it, like a coconut or something. I don't know.
Something.
And they've definitely got this kind of Dune type Freeman personality thing going on, where like, there's not a lot of water, so what we do share is like a familial blood pact type thing. Yeah.
Yep. So, and then of course the whole reason they raided the village was you steal our water.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they work out an uneasy truce. I do love the fact that Mando just volunteered the town.
Yeah. And the question is because they're doing the little mini display, and I'm like, oh, they brought their own little figures. To do a battle plan. That's awesome.
And of course, is this to scale?
Yeah, that can't be to scale. I think it is. Yeah, it's to scale.
Which again, we've never really seen a crate dragon.
Yeah.
Don't know how big they are.
We've seen the remains of a crate dragon, which we can only assume the size of them from episode 4.
Right.
Which is big. I don't think this thing looks a lot bigger than even I was thinking. I was still thinking something big, but not quite that massive.
Yep. Then of course we move into them telling the village that, hey, you're going to help us. And it just felt like a church scene from a Western movie.
Exactly. Definitely very Western. Like this whole episode, I guess the Western motif is strong with the Force today.
Yep. And then as they're getting ready for the ambush, I love seeing the ballistas and everything carried on the banthas. Like you can see that they're carrying everything they're going to use.
Or the fact that the Sand People have ballista to use. Like I'm just trying to think of like, obviously you have this set up for some sort of thing. Is there sand whaling in Tatooine, or like is there other creatures that they would use this for? Because I feel like to use it against just a crate dragon, like it was obviously ineffectual when you watch the fight. So obviously I think they were purposed for it, but it's not their only purpose. So now I'm curious about.
Well, especially like the gaffy sticks.
Yeah.
You see a Tusken Raider cleaning the teeth of his bantha with the gaffy stick.
Yeah. So they definitely use stuff for multiple purposes and using it.
Right.
Use the whole bison.
Yep. The mining charges they were using to set the ambush, those looked like missiles or something.
Yeah.
Like
definitely.
They didn't look like mining charges.
I mean, I guess when you think about it, they could technically have been a downgraded version of a torpedo or whatever. Like, hey, we have these torpedoes. Let's downgrade this idea.
We have a ton of casings. Let's just stuff a little bit in there. And...
Yeah.
No, yeah, it definitely felt like whaling. The Mandalorian's curse, Dank Farrik was a callback again to season 1, episode 1. The alien he's capturing at that point said that at some point. I don't remember exactly where, but I remember hearing it. It's like for a moment it sounded like a name, like this like some Mandalorian that betrayed people, so that's now their curse. But I couldn't find it I couldn't find it except for the season 1 connection. I couldn't find any. No one knows what it means.
Yeah.
So they latch onto the crate dragon. They're trying to pull it out, get the stomach over top of some mining charges, and then it starts spraying acid breath. Yeah,
which at this point, my mind. I mean, again, I DM Parsley regulars, and I know you do DMing too. I'm sure, like me, this is a dragon fight from D&D now.
Yeah.
Like, soon as the acid breath came out, that's when my mind switched. I'm like, this is even much cooler. For me, it's much cooler in my mind watching a actual D&D dragon fight being portrayed, and where it's like you don't just have the 4 adventurers that you have in a normal party. You have this huge array of people that you would need to use to fight a dragon of this size, and then just getting melted is cool and awesome, a little grotesque.
I did like how they did the effect with the acid like in the foreground blocking a lot of what you're seeing. Saves on a lot of special effects budget. You just have them collapse, and then you just morph a couple things.
And I think just the edge, as all you see is just the edges of them being kind of actually melted, but then they fall in. So then
they fall into like the puddles. And, I loved seeing Mando and Cobb jetpack around.
Yeah, jetpacking was cool. I mean, even because when you watch the Mandalorians, it seemed almost like an Iron Man seamless flight in the first season, and this one you're definitely like their arms are dangling. You're like, okay, this is definitely like what a real jetpack would fly around like.
Yeah.
I just love that they're there trying to like shoot it, maybe shoot its eye out. I don't know, but it's obviously ineffectual. Just them sitting there trying to shoot,
which is interesting considering the power we've seen in Mando's rifle before.
Yeah, and he's loading the charge and it's doing nothing.
Which I love So I gotta say I love the fact that rifle is a breech loading single shot. It feels
and you see it do nothing. So then you're like, but the at least the ballista you see at first before they're up there pierced the thing's hide.
Yeah.
And stuck in. So you're like, okay, are those like maybe Beskar tipped for some reason, or some other weird metal
super space metal?
Yeah. But the blasters are obviously not. They're being absorbed or not. There's nothing. You don't see any damage from blaster fire,
right?
Which is weird. But hey, it's Star Wars. It doesn't have to make complete sense.
Yep. And then of course we get to we finally blew the charges underneath it. It didn't work. It went back into the cave, spat acid on people. And then Mando gets the great idea. I have an idea.
He Draxed it. Yeah, that's exactly what he did.
But before that, I love the fact that, okay, we've got Boba Fett's armor, and Cobb seems like he's going to stay there and fight with Mando. And Mando just bashes the back of the jetpack.
I was expecting to even hear maybe Cobb Vanth do the
Wilhelm
scream at them. You don't hear it, unfortunately, but... It's like it's implied. It's there. You just gotta imagine it being there.
I thought that was a great callback to what happened in
episode 6.
Episode 6, yeah. Then of course Mando Draxes it, gets spat out because again we saw his rifle can shock.
Yeah, which seems like did a lot more than shocking because he's leaving. You see all this electricity coming out of it, which seems to be like he shot like a lightning bolt or something, just.
Or it could just be he'd been holding it there.
Yeah, holding it, and so it's just all this lightning is just charging around.
Right.
But it was cool. I love seeing that. Was a really cool look. Just the lightning coming out of its mouth, and he's flying out of it, and
that was a great shot. And I do think they've done a great job of, because we know they're shooting in the volume, which is that wonderful set with the TV screens and using the Unreal Engine. But they had a lot of wide shots in this one, which I liked. And yeah, Mando flying out of the thing looked really cool in the wide shot. Electricity going, all the special effects. So I don't know if they've thrown more special effects budget behind them, or if they...
I mean, it's Disney, and seeing the success of the first season, I would not be surprised if their budget doubled, tripled, or quadrupled in size.
Which I'm looking forward to see what they can do now.
Yeah.
I know we've got the scenes upcoming with him. I don't know if he's working with the New Republic or against the New Republic, but flying through the clouds with the X-Wings.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Was that in a trailer?
That was in a trailer.
Okay, I'll have to go back and look at the trailer. I don't remember seeing that.
Yeah, no, it was like...
Or being escorted by them, kind of like
Cloud
City type
I can't
thing,
tell
maybe,
if it
or...
was being escorted, like he's under arrest, and then... Because it's literally... He's in a ship, and then you can see the X-Wings flying next to him.
Okay.
And then the next scene is him flying through the clouds. Looks like he's being chased by the X-Wings.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, and then I know there's more Imperials coming up. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm imagining that
Moff Gideon?
Moff Gideon will be hunting for the child.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, he's still got the Darksaber, which I'm, definitely want to see more of that.
And if they have Bo-Katan in this season, which they do, then I imagine that there will be more with the Darksaber, because Bo-Katan was the last one to have it that we've seen canonically. Yeah. So
I'm also have to do some research, because I haven't finished Rebels. And so I think that's gonna be my next thing before this episode 2 of season 2 comes out. So I'm gonna try and finish that this week, because I want to know what happens to the rest of the crew from Rebels. Where's Sabine and everybody at currently? Then
right
as well, because I don't know who all survived and who. I mean, I know from spoilers and reading, some people die, some people don't. So
yeah. So finishing up real quick, the Tuskens find a Krayt Dragon Pearl in the corpse,
which. I think some people might think it's an egg if they don't know that Krayt dragons have pearls.
I could see that, yeah.
Yeah,
I could definitely see that.
It's kind of just it's
I don't know,
weird looking. It's covered in blood and stuff, and you're not sure. But if you know that
pearl shape, pearl colored, and
not egg shaped. But I mean, that's what my housemates and their kids says. Like, oh, it's an egg. And I was like, no, guys, it's a pearl. They just got rich.
Yep. And then
so my thing is, on the speeder bike, he puts what looks like a chunk of meat Did he get
Yeah.
some meat, or what was that, like part of its heart, or what
I have no
what does he
idea what that
have, and why
was.
does he have it?
Part of its hide,
Or is
maybe,
that
like
just
to make boots or something,
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
or
Or just,
maybe maybe a costume for Baby
or
Yoda.
or does he accept it because that's that's the way of the Tuscans? Like, here, you get this meat because you helped us slay
Yeah, here's a part of its
dragon,
heart.
or yeah. I'm curious to see what happens, if anything happens with that, or if it's just meat to eat. Or
And given the sting at the end of this episode, I imagine the next episode's picking up pretty quickly afterwards.
I would assume, but again, they could just have it like the end of the other Tatooine episode where you see the boot and you don't know what's going to happen. Like, they don't redo anything with that.
Right. True.
So they could. So again, Cobb Vanth is true to his word and gives Mando the armor.
Yep. Which was, I
And I was
honestly kind of expected Mando to be like,
Oh,
no,
keep it.
you're acting like a Mandalorian. You can keep it.
No, I was still. I mean, part of me deep down was still like, oh, Cobb's gonna betray him now. He's gonna be like, nope, I'm keeping the armor. Like, I was still like, there's still part of me clinging to that idea that he's not gonna be this good guy that he is.
But he was.
But he was. He was true to his armor, gave it up, and now I'm kind of curious to see like what he would look like without the armor and be a cowboy in Star Wars.
Well, I mean, yeah, we got a
little bit
image
more-
of that too.
Yeah.
But no, and then of course the stinger for this episode was
you see-
mysterious figure watching Mando
Yeah, speed away.
speed away, and then turns around and it's Tamara Morrison.
Yeah, which he looks. I mean, he's bald. It's almost, if you didn't know it was him, you'd be like, was that him? I don't know, because it was quick, and you don't quite. He's got something on his, like some scarring on his face or something that they put there that's just enough to disguise him that you're like, I guess that could be him. And then his name pops up, so you know it's him.
Right.
And then you're like, yeah, that was definitely him.
I didn't watch the credits. Did they name the character that he was playing, or
No. So they just said the
Mysterious
actor's
figure.
name. So they didn't say even what he was. I don't think.
So,
So I mean, the assumption is he's Boba Fett.
yeah.
I mean,
Maybe a clone, but he doesn't.
Yeah, like-
given the
like I
time
said-
frame, clones would be ancient by this point. So
Yeah,
he
so
doesn't
I
look
mean-
old enough to be a clone. So I'm right on board with the assumption of he's Boba Fett, somehow escaped the Sarlacc. Maybe this Krayt Dragon ate that Sarlacc, because they did.
yeah,
talk
I mean,
about...
because they say the Krayt Dragon is in an old abandoned Sarlacc pit, and it was like Sarlaccs don't abandon their pits, and Mando's like, if they get eaten, they do.
I love that line too.
So I mean, yeah, that could be,
Which-
or
Again, kind of gives you an idea of the scale of the dragon too.
yeah, I mean, even in the Boba Fett books, going back to jumping to just the extended universe and what's no longer canon, I mean, he used his flamethrower to cause basically indigestion
Right.
and force that, but he was still badly burned. His armor was fine, but he was not from all that. So I mean, it could have happened like the Jawas just saw him, thought he was dead, took his armor.
Yep.
I mean, we've seen that Jawas take things.
You don't have to be
and-
gone long before
Yeah,
them to take.
yeah,
things.
and he could have definitely, because I mean, Dak Rendar was the one that found him, right?
I
think that's
honestly
it.
don't
think
remember.
Stretching my knowledge of the universe a little bit there. I think it was Dak Rendar found him and nursed him back to health, and so now he's been stuck on Tatooine for these last 8 years, maybe looking for his armor.
Maybe. And of course, if it actually was Dash Rendar that found him, maybe that character's coming out of the books
Yeah.
too.
Which would be cool. See, I want to see more extended universe characters show up in these other things. That's kind of my want and desire.
I would die if Kyle Katarn got recanonized.
So jumping here, I heard I don't know if it was from you or from somebody. Somebody said they're looking at doing a Kyle Katarn series.
It wasn't me.
So I heard it. I read it somewhere. Then Disney Plus is looking at doing a Kyle Katarn series, which means, I think, because his initial storyline with Dark Forces was he was Rogue One, right?
Yeah.
So he could be leading the team with the many Bothans that get the plans for Death Star 2. That's my
Maybe.
theory, anyways. So, but I heard somewhere along the grapevine. Well, I'll have to double check to see if this is true. That there is a Kyle Katarn series in the works on Disney Plus for stuff. So, which would be awesome. Because yeah, he's one of the coolest characters to go from one form of media into the others and stuff.
Yeah, no, I really liked. I really like Kyle Katarn because he was, I think, indicative of like the old, or like the new kind of Jedi, like the gotta kind of walk a line.
Yeah, which I mean, really, I would assume that he probably doesn't make it too far past episode 7,
Probably
or
not.
in the in between events if all of Luke's students died, unless he's old enough to have been doing his own thing.
Right.
Which
Well,
I mean, he should be.
that's the question: is if he was a teacher at the academy, then he's probably dead.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, I did like some of the stuff that the old canon did with Luke, where Luke was, I think it came out most in I Jedi.
Yes. That's one of my
Luke
favorite
believed
books.
everyone could be redeemed. And Corran Horn was much more along the lines of, okay, most people kind of wander back and forth, but there's a percentage of people that are always evil, and there are a percentage of people that are always good.
That's okay. I want to say he's the number one character I want to be brought into this current universe. I desperately want Corran Horn to show up and to be that character. Like, I mean,
right.
With how well Mandalorian is showing, I definitely know that the X-Wing series could be a fantastic series to have on Disney Plus.
They recanonized Rogue Squadron with Squadrons.
Okay, I've only played a little bit of Squadrons. I haven't played a little bit.
So I mean, it's literally after the prologue Rebellion episode 2, or the second mission, Wedge shows up.
Yeah, I think I did that. I flew with Wedge for a little bit.
He mentions Rogue Squadron is off doing other stuff.
Yeah.
So that recanonizes Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it. So, but no, I can't find anything about a Kyle Katarn series.
Oh, I heard it somewhere. I'll double check, and so when we'll put that at the beginning of next episode. We'll be like, okay, I was wrong, or something.
Well, I would love to see him because, again, it's a character that he ends up as a Jedi, but he's got a lot of skills that aren't Jedi-based skills.
Yeah, again, like Corran Horn. Yeah, got a lot of these things that he developed as an adult and through his adolescence without being brainwashed maybe by Jedi dogma, that make them such excellent characters because they have these other experiences and skill sets that allow them to tote that line and realize the universe isn't black and white, dark side, light side. There's a lot of gray in there, which I mean I think is definitely what episode 8 was trying to do. Just jumping all over the place. It was trying to show us that there is the grayness to the universe. However, I don't think that was the point of the Star Wars saga.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you can show that in Rogue One. You can show that in other things because that's what you need, these other things to show that. But you also need that main good versus evil storyline, and they tried to. I don't know. Anyways, we could do this another time. we could have a whole 2 hour.
We can keep talking about Star Wars, anyway, that was our discussion about Mandalorian season 1. Season 2, episode 1. That is chapter 9, The Marshal. Which I do again appreciate the titling structure. It's the something.
Was that what it is for? I'll have to go back. I didn't realize it's something.
The something.
Yeah, I like shows that do that. You know, you got Friends, the one with.
Yeah.
Or you got Scrubs, my something.
Yeah.
Or I guess. Eventually, when they don't do JD, it's her and his story. But yeah, the personal add-on. Yeah, I like stuff that do that.
So season 1 was The Mandalorian, the Child, the Sin. Oh, they just chapter 4 was Sanctuary and not The Sanctuary.
Oh, okay.
The Prisoner, The Reckoning, Redemption. So it's like either 1 or 2 word titles, and if it's a 2-word title, it's The something.
Something. Got it.
Which I do think. Just from the title lets you do some some foreshadowing.
Yeah, you get a little teasing and stuff like, hey, this is gonna be the next episode, and kind of gives you a little bit of what it might involve, but nothing for certain.
Yep. So anyway, that's what we got. So we will let's see. We are Sunday Night RPG. We'll do the stinger for everything now, but we do mostly long form RPGs, actual plays of games. Currently, we're doing a Vikings themed game on Sunday nights.
Savage Midgard!
Twitch. Savage Midgard. Which has taken a few turns I wasn't expecting, and then
Oh, yeah.
we are also doing Karth's Irregulars. Why did I almost say Frontiers? I don't know.
Hey, we're going to change it now. Actually, I had something set up where if there's something that could be world-breaking happening, if people go the right way, and we could change it to Karth's Frontier, it'd be fun.
So anyway, Karth's Irregulars, first and third Friday of the month usually, and that is, again, twitch.tv/SundayNightRPG. I've been Seriann 1987.
I'm Beardsly 89. Or just Beardsly.
Yeah, we'll see y'all later.